Britain has approved the coronavirus vaccine by pharmaceutical partners Pfizer and BioNTech, becoming the first country in the world to do so. The UK government says the shot will be available across the country from next week. The vaccine is the result of a collaboration between US drug maker Pfizer and German company BioNTech. It's still awaiting regulatory approval across the rest of the world, including the EU, where authorities say it could be authorised within weeks. The British Health Minister Matt Hancock welcomed news of the decision by the regulatory authority.
It's fantastic news. The MHRA, the fiercely independent regulator, has clinically authorised the vaccine for rollout. The NHS stands ready to make that happen. So from early next week, we will start the programme of vaccinating people against COVID-19 here in this country.
Well, our correspondent Birgit Maas joins us from London. Birgit, how will this affect the UK's handling of the pandemic?
Well, it really looks like the UK is going to be the first country in the world where actual jabs are going to go into arms. And we had the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, say that 50 hospitals are already ready in the UK and that next week it could start. We know that the process is going to be that health workers and also very elderly people in care homes, they are going to be vaccinated first. And after that, it's going to be more or less according to age groups. So the oldest people are going to be treated first, are going to get the jabs first. And then there is with underlying health conditions and sort of a rolling process. And then it goes through the ages. So the youngest will be last in line. Now, we know that the UK has about 40 million doses bought. This is not enough to inoculate the whole country. There will have to be either more doses, or the hope is, and I think this is a hope across the world, that other companies will get their vaccinations approved in the coming weeks and months, and that this is just the start of a big process, a rollout across the whole world.
Birgit Maas in London, thank you. And DW's Matthew Moore joins us here in the studio. You followed this story for us. When will the first vaccines be distributed?
Well, the German company that has been developing these vaccines says that they'll start delivering them this week. So they're being produced at 2 sites in Germany. There's a third site that they're building to try to cope with all the demand. And they say that they'll start sending them this week. And as we heard from the Health Secretary in the UK, they hope to start distributing the vaccines next week. So it's a huge moment, Gerhard. This is the one that the moment that the world has been waiting for. There seems to be a wee crack of light at the end of this dark tunnel. You know, this is a vaccine that is 95% effective across all age groups. So even the over 65, it's proved effective, and it's the fastest ever. Most vaccines, or the fastest vaccines that we've had to date, have been in the 4 years, 5-year mark, and this is in less than a year. So it's, you know, it's a huge moment.
This approval by the British authorities, what does this mean for approval in the US and in the EU?
Well, the EU's set to get its hands on 300 million doses of this vaccine, but it hasn't yet been approved. They're due, European Medicines Agency is due to meet at the end of the month to give its opinion. There are some, even before today, who were saying that's not quick enough, you should be making a decision earlier. But actually, there's been some kind of dissent today from a European lawmaker and the German CDU party who said actually maybe this decision from the UK was too hasty. In the US, they're due to meet next week to decide they should get their hands on about 100 million doses. Could be as much as half a billion doses by the end of next year. And there will be pressure just growing now, saying if it's good enough for the UK, is it good enough for us?
Absolutely. Also, this particular vaccine has to be stored at minus 70 degrees Celsius. That is a logistical problem, isn't it?
Yeah, this was one of the issues at the beginning of when we first heard that this vaccine was effective, was that actually it needs to be stored at incredibly cold temperatures. And that was going to be one of the hurdles to distributing this around the world. But Pfizer say they've built kind of these shippers, as they call them, these units that can hold these vaccines at that temperature using dry ice for up to 30 days. That allows them to get to the far ends of the world. Then they go into fridges where they can be thawed out at normal temperatures, and the shelf life there in a normal fridge is 5 days. So they hope that they've bought themselves enough room to get this thing out there and to really make it a success.
Matthew Moore, thank you. Let's have a look now at some of the other developments in the coronavirus pandemic. Germany's Public Health Institute has reported a record 487 deaths over 24 hours. Officials said they'd been expecting daily deaths to trend upwards following a steep rise in new infections recently. Portuguese Prime Minister Antonio Costa has said securing a vaccine for all European countries will be his top priority. Portugal takes over the European Union's rotating presidency in January. And media reports say Japan is planning to allow large numbers of overseas visitors to attend next year's Tokyo Olympics without mandatory vaccinations or quarantine. But that's only if they submit negative COVID test results and download tracking apps.